Hello, we are back and we are talking some more about Kody Brown and his horrific language skills.
Yes, again.
I had some more notes from the last video. We were talking about the disparity of men. He was saying if you choose to be in polygamy, there's nothing about polygamy that's unfair. None of it's unfair. I had written down here, which I didn't share, it's not too hard to run a marathon because you chose to enter a marathon. So it's not hard. It's not difficult to raise kids because you chose it. It's all beer and Skittles. And from that topic in the last video, we morph into him talking about basically from when he said everything is great because we chose it and it's fine, to explaining how when he first started recording the show in the early seasons of Sister Wives, that they were all putting on an act. He said we were trying really hard to be a good plural family, and it was a good honeymoon experience. Experience. Is that word? He loves experience. He uses that word all the time. I don't know if it pops up every couple days on his word of the day calendar, or he just thinks it's a cool word. He uses it way too much. I don't want to say inappropriately, but like kind of not in the right space. There's always a better word, but he loves experience because I think it sounds more elite to him. But he said that, they were pretty much just acting at the beginning, right? And then I wrote down here, this is very interesting because maybe Robin would have been an even bigger wedge in the family and things would have started crumbling a lot sooner had they not been on their best behavior because the cameras were rolling.
I never thought of that.
So here's him explaining how the beginning of the show was really when they were putting their best foot forward and acting like everything was great. And he compares it to the beginning of a relationship when you're showing your best side to somebody.
And, when you're courting and you're dating somebody, it is absolutely best foot forward. And my family got beautifully lucky for first few years of our TV show because we were putting our best foot forward. We were trying really hard to be a good plural family. And it was a good honeymoon experience because we worked hard to do it. But there's always the undertones. And here's the thing, when you're in a marriage, and it's good marriage, you can mess up and you'll forgive each other. You got a husband and wife just going, yeah, we love each other. So baby, I'm sorry I did that, and I forgive you, and that works. The minute you divorce or you're getting divorced or you're looking for a reason to divorce, you forget to cover that sin with charity. And all of a sudden you want to tell everybody. And so what'll happen is when a couple divorce, they might have looked like they had a great marriage before, but once they're divorced, they're both telling you how awful the other person was because they're no longer willing to cover each other's mistakes with a cloak of charity. And that's kind of the world I live in right now.
He says, when you're courting and you're dating somebody, it is absolutely best put forward. And my family got beautifully lucky for the first few years of our TV show because we were putting our best foot forward. We were trying really hard to be a good plural family. And it was a good honeymoon experience because we worked hard to do it, but there's always the undertones. And here's the thing, when you're in a marriage, and it's a good marriage, you can mess up and you'll forgive each other, and you got a husband and wife just going, yeah, we love each other. So baby, I hate it when he says baby, it's so creepy to me. I'm sorry I did that, and I forgive you, and that works. The minute you divorce, or you're getting divorced, or you're looking for a reason to divorce, you forget to cover that sin with charity. It's like reading from the old doctrines, okay? You forget to cover that sin with charity. He just tries to sound like a educator or theologian, and he comes across so goofy and ridiculous.
Vocabulary is everything. Using big words can, tend to make you look a little smarter. But studies show that actually backfires. So if you come in and say something like, today we are going to improve the agnostic ability of, it's like people are like, whoa, what are we doing today? Actually, today we're doing X. Whoever's on the other end of what your goal is in terms of message, they have to be able to understand what you are saying.
So you're very forgiving to somebody and you look over their sins until you're going through a divorce, and then you don't anymore. Basically what he's saying. Or you forget to cover that sin with charity. And all of a sudden you want to tell everybody. And so what'll happen is when a couple divorce, they might look like they had a great marriage before, but once they get divorced, they're both telling you how awful the other person was because they're no longer willing to cut each other's mistakes. I think they meant cover. This is a transcript I'm reading from. They're no longer to cover each other's mistakes with a cloak of charity. Let's say it again, just for emphasis sake.
With a cloak of charity.
The cloak of invisibility.
That's a Night's Watch cloak.
I have purloined the cloak of duplication.
Does anyone need a cloak?
With a cloak of charity.
And that's kind of the world I live in right now.
And so it's retrospectively, there is a struggle and a place where you're like, wow, this was an experiment.
And so it's retrospectively, there is a struggle and a place where you're like, wow, this was an experiment, another experiment. And when I talk about cult light, nobody in plural marriage who struggles is telling you to be careful here or there.
When I talk about cult light, nobody in plural marriage who's struggling tells you to be careful here or there.
That starts here and goes all the way down here to here before it's the end of a sentence. Honest to goodness, talk about run-on thoughts and just talking.
Filibuster!
So first of all, this is not news. When people are in a marriage, they don't air all their dirty laundry to everybody all the time. In no marriage does anybody do that. There are things you keep under the vest. There are things that stay in your home. So he's not a philosopher here.
No.
He's not sharing anything we don't know. And then, if you go ahead and you're in the process of a divorce or you've been divorced, you're more willing to share why things went bad. Because you've been covering it up for so long that if you're going to walk away from it, people might be confused, right? Well, he did this, he did this, he did this, he did this. People, oh, I didn't know any of that. Well, yeah, I'm not going to share everything with you, but I eventually got to my breaking point and now I'm done. So Cody's frustrated that his wives are now going through a divorce period and airing his dirty laundry.
Too bad.
And you know what? They're not. They're saying hardly anything. I know there's so much more they can say. I wish they would air his dirty laundry. They're protecting him. I love how instead of just saying being nice or kind to somebody that he has to say a cloak of charity. Kills me. Oh my goodness, that's going to be our phrase for today. Cloak of charity. Make sure you use it once. No, don't, because people are going to look at you like you're a complete fool. Why are you so mean to me? Why don't you cover me with a cloak of charity? Oh. All right, let's get to a line that made no sense. So he said, this is kind of the world that I live in right now. And so it's retrospectively, there is a struggle and a place where you're like, wow, this was an experiment. And when I talk about cult light, Nobody in plural marriage who's struggling tells you to be careful here or there. That is too much. What the heck? All right, so I'll start back at the beginning. This is the world that I live in right now. Okay, that makes sense. I wish we could just hit period and erase everything else. And so, and I'm not done talking. And so, it's retrospectively, there is a struggle and a place where you get where you're like, wow, this was an experiment. Let's stop there for a second. It's not the end of the sentence, but I think instead of retrospectively, he meant reflectively, like reflecting back on it. Retrospectively, there was a struggle. Like, I don't think that's the right word here. Am I wrong? I mean, because at this point, because I recorded the other video before this one, my head is kind of mush.
Man, I know I'm multifaceted. I don't need you to tell me. I don't need to be part of your trivial list anyway. I'm sorry, your what? My fault, bro. It might be hard for you to understand since you don't exhibit cognitive powers. Okay, now it feels like you're talking to me in another language. Yeah, look who's stupid now. Just use your cerebrum. You don't even know what that is. It don't matter. Just because you use big words don't mean you have you're still stupid. Like, why do I even bother speaking to a nuisance?
But I'm thinking retrospectively is not the word he wanted to use here. I think he knew it was a long word that began with an R, and so he just picked one. It's retrospectively, there is a struggle and a place where you get where you're like, wow, this was an experiment. I can't. I don't even know what he's trying to say. Even reflectively doesn't help it too much. Retrospectively really makes no sense. But if I threw reflectively, there's a struggle in a place where you get where it's like, wow, this was an experiment. His marriage was an experiment? God, why does everything have to be an experiment with him? Well, that's not true. It's usually an experience. This is an experiment. Experience would work better than experiment here. Retrospectively, there's a struggle in a place where you get where you're like, wow, this was an experiment. Okay. You know, I can't analyze it anymore because I don't even get it. Right down below if you think you know what he was trying to say.
Gibberish.
When I talk about cult light, and then cult light he referred to earlier in this interview where his brothers are I'm sorry, my cats are trying to get into the room. I didn't know if you could keep hearing them scratch the door, but I wanted to open it so that it didn't become annoying to you if you can hear it. Okay, no meow. That'd be good if you're in here. So his brothers have their own podcast, and I believe his brothers that have the podcast are ex-Mormons that have this podcast, because I know he has one brother who is still in polygamy. And the other ones I believe are out. And I think the ones that are out are the ones that have the podcast. I don't know that for a fact, but I feel like I have that knowledge in the back of my head, but I don't know where it's from. So if I'm wrong, write it down below. Or if I'm right, just tell me I'm right. So these brothers that have a podcast, he was laughing earlier about and saying that they refer to his life in the AUB as cult light. So it's not a cult, according to them. It's cult light. Cult-ish, if you will. So he says, when I talk about cult light, nobody in plural marriage who's struggling tells you to be careful here or there. Not here, not there, not anywhere. There's a Dr. Seuss book in there. I know there is. Okay, so there's a little part of me that would say, oh yeah, that's really sad that they don't share the struggles that you're about to encounter. The other part of me goes, well, you have to be an idiot to not realize there's going to be problems.
Right?
Or you have to be very egotistical or narcissistic to think this is all going to go smoothly and to not be able to see from somebody else's point of view how this is all going to pan out. I mean, there was a whole book on sacred loneliness. It was written about, Joseph Smith's wives. So they knew it's been a struggle since the beginning of Mormonism / polygamy. So now he's upset that nobody shared this with him. He says, I married 3 women that I courted for 4 months, 5 months or less. But nobody in our church told us kinda what we were getting into. So that's why I'm thinking kind of culty thought processes, because there were tons of people who were either in the process of failing in plural marriage or had failed in it, who were still promoting it in our church.
I married 3 women that I courted for 4 months, 5 months or less. I knew them maybe longer than that, but as far as a courtship, one courtship was for 5 months. One courtship was for 1 month, and another courtship I think was for 2 months. My 4th wife, we courted for 10 months. But nobody in our church told us kind of what we were getting into. So that's why I'm thinking kind of culty thought processes, because there were tons of people who were either in the process of failing in plural marriage or had failed in it, who were still promoting it in our church.
That stinks, but that's exactly what you were doing too. You can tell from season 1, episode 1, all the wives are already not happy. And yet you have 14 years of a show promoting polygamy. You said that's your whole intent of the show, to show that it's wonderful and it's beautiful and other people should consider polygamy. That's what you're doing. Even though you admit that you were faking it for television and putting on your best foot forward. You're doing exactly what you're criticizing, Cody.
Was behind the scenes. We were also told the first several seasons, don't talk, be ladies and gentlemen, stay quiet. If you can't say something nice, just don't say anything at all. It was very much like a shut up and listen. You guys remember that? Princess Diaries? That's what it was. When the cameras turned on, shut up and listen. So it was also hard.
He goes on to say that the church's main focus was probably plural marriage. He said, I wish that it would have been more Christ-centered, but it really seemed to be sort of plural marriage-centered. Of course. That's what his church is. I don't understand why this is such a surprise to him. If you were just going to focus on Christ, you just go to a Christian church. If you were going to focus on Christ and LDS teachings, you will go to an LDS church. This sect of the AUB is different from the rest of them because it believes in polygamy. So this is what it teaches. And he was surprised by this. So after he says his church focused on teaching basically all about plural marriage, and I guess only the upsides, because to take an hour every week, 4 hours a month of just talking about plural marriage and never mentioning, here are the problems that you're going to need to navigate through, and here are the tools to help you get through it, that it was just an hour of continuing to promote and toot the horn of polygamy. I don't know how much there is to say. There had to be some scripture in there somewhere. I know the LDS church are very good at memorizing scripture and probably memorizing, do they call it scripture in the other books? The Book of Abraham and the Book of Mormon and the Pearl of Great Price. Do they refer to that as scripture as well? I don't know. I don't want to use the wrong word, but I'm sure they probably memorize many passages in those books as well. So why it's different all of a sudden when they're adding polygamy to it, I don't know. Or maybe it's just the particular church Cody went to.
There were tons of people who were either in the process of failing in plural marriage or had failed in it, who were still promoting it in our church. But our church's main focus was probably plural marriage. I wish that it would have been more Christ-centered, but it really seemed to be sort of plural marriage-centered.
We're going to end there for today. What was our word for the day this time?
Cloak of charity.
Oh, right. A cloak of charity. I hope you all grant me the cloak of charity and forgive me for butchering the language of Mr. Kody Brown. I'll be better next time. You have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Cloak of charity.